Atlanta. God damn Atlanta.
Well, they got a good run.
See, I'm of the belief that they still running.
What, when Lil Jon and them niggas?
I don't think it's over. I think a certain aspect may be over. Atlanta ain't done shit. Offset album is tough. Gunna
Yes, it is.
album
Shout
is
out
tough.
Offset. Yeah.
Jid
Yeah,
album is tough.
Yeah.
Like, if I'm Jid, I'm jumping up and down. I'm not saying that he doing it. I ain't spoke to him. But if it was if I'm Sci or somebody, I'm jumping up and down.
Yo, real quick, look at the difference between when Luda and them had to run that Atlanta to the Atlanta now. If you understand what I'm saying.
It was a more
It was more organized then, would you say, Freeze?
I don't know if it was necessarily organized. I just think the type of music, like they was more focused on the party.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah, but I'm
they
talking
wanted to
about
make records for the clubs.
Yeah, but I'm talking about the presentation of it, the solidarity. To me, I mean, them, it was
20 years ago, it wasn't mainstream that Atlanta had.
Now, Ice's comments are kind of indicative of what people have been feeling lately because of the atmosphere of Atlanta right now, just because of the Young Thug leak calls and because of the just other issues that have been arising from Atlanta. And their hits have been sporadic lately. A lot of people have been dormant as far as music goes. So it's easy for people to make those comments, especially like a Ice, who usually is a huge supporter of Atlanta rap, but it's easy to kind of criticize Atlanta right now, especially with the state that it's in. And there's a couple of reasons for that. But is there validity to his claim or to his statement? Because Joe kind of rebutted that by saying that, there's still people active. He said, people like Jid and, Future is still going and Ghana still making good music. So there's a lot of people in Atlanta still making music, but they don't have the superstars that they used to have, so to speak, in the hip hop game that they once had, or at least the stars are not even active or still capable of making those same hits that they used to make for whatever reason. But I got a feeling that that'll change pretty soon. But Atlanta had such an impeccable run with people like T.I. and Jeezy and even Gucci and Outkast and T.I. and Ludacris. And they had so many different, their high was so high that even if they have to come down for a little bit, it'll still kind of even out some of their run because they've been given, the world hits for over the last 2 decades. You can go all the way back to the early 2000s, all the way to now, and you can put greatest hits that you can put probably 20 discs worth of music together, and if you include all of the hits, because they had the different eras with the crunk era with Lil Jon and the East Side Boys and Lil Scrappy and Prime Mob. They had all of that era, and then you sprinkle in like some of the lesser acts like a Bone Crusher or Rich Homie Quan, rest in peace, Young LA, Young Dro, Young Jock. They had eras of music and they stood the test of time. So this is probably just a phase they're going through before they get to a new phase, because the trap era became very big, after, the crunk music and all that stuff. So they're just going to create a new era because Atlanta is so huge right now. It's probably, it's considered the it's what Nashville is to country music. Atlanta is to rap music. So they're just going to rejuvenate and revitalize everything. And it's just a struggle they're going through now because, like we said before, everybody has been going through their own things, but they've been setting trends for so long that I don't see it dying down any soon. And when you think about most of their stars that we talked about, they're older now. So they have found other ways to make money because music is not the most lucrative venture for people to go to. So, Outkast, it disbanded over a decade ago. Jeezy has been doing community work in politics. T.I. went to comedy. Uh, Gucci Mane has been doing other stuff in the community and being more of a CEO. So most of these artists now, and we talked about Young Thug. Young Thug was in the jail for about a year. I mean, he was in jail. He just got released a year ago, almost a year ago to next month. But he's been trying to get back on his feet and reacclimating to society. So it's a lot of different moving pieces. Lil Baby, just to think about that, the work he's been doing in the community. So a lot of people been doing other things than music, and they're just not just solely focused on music because, like I said, there's other ways to get the bread nowadays. So, but um, just thinking about their landscape, they still have some great people that are doing, putting out great music. You have 21 Savage, Offset just put out a great album. Future still has some stuff. Of course, Playboy Cardi is gonna be top notch anytime that he dropped, and he dropped this year. Two Chains is still quietly and been underrated, very underrated in the music scene of what he's doing with that Red Tails. I forgot the soundtrack that he just put together, and then the work he's done with The Alchemist and Larry June, and also the projects that songs that he's been featured on. So he's been doing work quietly, and it's been very underrated too. So I can't forget what Two Chains has been doing. He's been very active. But if you think about the other regions in hip hop, nobody else has the impact that Atlanta has. Now, being from Memphis, Memphis is very active with Glorilla, Moneybag Yo, NLE Chopper, Juicy J's been doing a lot. DJ Paul as well are still active on the scene, but they just don't have the impact of what Atlanta has just off of legacy alone. But just the impact that they have. Texas and Florida rappers have been pretty quiet lately. You haven't heard much from Rick Ross or Travis Scott and artists like that. Well, it's not really hip hop, but um, Chicago, they lost Juice World and King Von, rest in peace. Chief Keef has not really been active. Dirk is still in jail, so they lost that. They still have Chance the Rapper and G Herbo and Common and people like that. But they just don't have the impact right now. And then even New York, to a degree. I mean, Cardi has a project, album releasing in a couple of weeks. So we'll see what that does. But then Nicki, and then you got Benny the Butcher, and then Griselda. But it's very sporadic. So nobody really has the impact still. So New York, I believe Atlanta still has the edge over everybody as far as impact goes. But for now, they've been kind of quiet, as relatively quiet to what they've used to been. But they still are the number one rap city, I want to say right now. So tell me what your thoughts about, ISIS comments as far as Atlanta having a great run. Do you think their run is over, or do you think it's just at a dormant stage right now? Until next time, I'll see you next time.